Good Thursday, everyone. I want to continue to share some of the places that I went to on sabbatical when I was in Israel and Jordan. And today I want to talk to you about the Dead Sea. Let me give you a little information about the Dead Sea. It's a salt lake bordered by Jordan to the east and Israel and the West Bank to the west. The Dead Sea is located 16 miles east of Jerusalem. A long and narrow oblong, the sea in Bible times measured 50 miles from north to south and 11 miles wide at its broadest point. The Dead Sea lies within the Great Trough of the Jordan Valley, also known as the Rift Valley, which forms the part of the longest and deepest crack in the Earth's surface. At approximately 1,300 feet below sea level, the Dead Sea sits at the lowest point of the Earth's surface. The Dead Sea has attracted visitors from the Mediterranean basin for thousands of years. It was one of the first health resorts for Herod the Great. And it's been a supplier of a wide variety of products, from asphalt for the Egyptians for mummification to potash for fertilizers. For several decades in the mid-20th century, the surface level was 1,300 feet below sea level. But beginning in the 1960s, Jordan and Israel began to divert much of the Jordan River's water flow and increase the use of the lake's water itself for commercial purposes. This resulted in lowering the level of the Dead Sea by quite a bit. In the mid-2010, measurement of the lake level was more than 100 feet below the mid-20th century level. Now it's like 1,410 feet below sea level, and it continues to drop about 3 feet per year. The salty water has a high density that keeps swimmers buoyant, and the fresh water of the Jordan stays on the surface, and in the spring the muddy color can be traced as it spreads southward from the point where the river empties into the Dead Sea. Now, the lake's extreme saltiness keeps things from growing except bacteria. Fish that come into the Dead Sea through the Jordan River, they don't last very long at all. And the vegetation is very scarce. Only plants that love the saltiness are able to survive there. Now, the Dead Sea is known by a few different names in the Bible, including the Salt Sea in Genesis, Numbers, and Deuteronomy and Joshua, the Sea of Arabah in Deuteronomy, Joshua, and 2 Kings, and the Eastern Sea in Ezekiel and Zechariah. It's called the Salt Sea because it's high salt content, but the Sea of Arabah, it was given for its location in the Arabah Valley, and in Hebrew, Arabah means a wasteland or barren district. Only in Genesis 14:3 is the Dead Sea referred to as a location. In all of the other instances, it's used to designate the border for the land of Israel. Thus, the Dead Sea was likely considered more of a territorial boundary line than a destination for people in the Bible. Nevertheless, there were several noteworthy settlements positioned along the shores of the Dead Sea. There was Masada, Engadi, and Qumran. Now, when we were at the Dead Sea on February 14th, on Valentine's Day, I was surprised at how low it truly was. I went into the place set aside for changing and showering. I donned my bathing suit and began the hike down to the sea. It was quite a hike. And when I entered into the water, I was taken back by the sliminess of the bottom. Oh, there was a rope that I held onto with a lot of other swimmers as we were going into the sea, slipping and sliding until we got far enough into the sea to float. And float I did like a cork. It was really uncanny. It was really weird. However, every time I touched the bottom with my feet or my hands, they came out slimy with silvery mud. It was really yucky. Ooh. I didn't stay long because I had to hike back up, shower, and redress for the rest of the day. But after showering, my skin was really soft and silky. Sue Patrick and I went into one of the shops there and bought some cosmetics made with minerals from the Dead Sea. And I bought some for my daughters. This whole experience at the Dead Sea really jolted me and reminded me that if we don't take care of the things that God gives us, we're going to lose them. I teach our children here at Winfrey to take care of our earth, that God expects us to take care of our earth. That means being intentional about recycling and purchasing single-use items and plastics that are filling up our landfills. It also means paying attention to what we purchase. Is it ecologically minded? I really need to do better about that. Talking about the Dead Sea also brought to mind my mind about the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I'm not real learned at how this virus began or how it's contracted or how it spreads. All I know is what I see on TV or the governor's reports. However, I do believe that if we as Earth's residents do not do what we need to do to halt the spread of this virus, it's going to continue to run rampant. Now, I know there are many opinions on what we need to do, from wearing masks to keeping socially distanced to staying at home. It makes me really sad to see that there are so many people who are so angry and defiant on just about every restriction that's been put into place during this pandemic. But I kind of understand, somewhat. America was begun as a place for people to come to who were being told what to do, how to worship, or who had extreme restrictions on their lives. I get it. It's the American way. Don't tell me what I can and cannot do. I'm an American. True, but we also need to be learned and smart at the same time. If what we're being told to do is for the benefit of our society as a whole, isn't it worth doing? Philippians 2:4 says, "Let each of you look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others." Isn't that what we're doing when we do what we need to do to keep this virus in check? Looking to the interests of others? As we go about our day today, let's really think about others and how what we do affects not only us, but others. Let each of you look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. May we all be examples of God in the world around us, not just today, but every day.